Up next, we have the Mario Quadrilogy, which is 4 different Mario games. Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, Super Mario 2... Please correct me. 2... USA. I see. That's what it was. That's Super Mario Bros. 3. Is it in that order specifically? 2 Japan. Okay, right. Perfect. In release order.
Now it's not. Perfect.
Okay. So what we're going to say is, it's in. We're doing Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, Super Mario Bros. 2, the USA version, because reasons, and Super Mario Bros. 3. And I'll just let you get into it.
Awesome.
All right. Are we good to go? All right. So this is the quadrilogy category, like it was just mentioned there. We're going to be playing 4 games, all the NES Mario games, and we're going to start off in the order they were released in. So we're starting off with Mario Bros. 1, and I'll get into that in a minute. I'll let you know when the timer starts. It starts when Mario spawns in. So, all right, I'm going to press start, and I'll let you know. The timer starts now.
All right, so Smythe is beginning his run in Super Mario Bros. 1. This is one of the most classic legendary speed games of all time. 8 levels, 5 minutes, completely fast-paced gameplay. You're always doing something. Smythe is going to be getting the fire here to try and play it safe through the run. Ordinarily, top Mario 1 runners will play as small. They'll get no power-ups, just charge through the game. But obviously, in a live event like this is going to be very, very risky because one hit, dead immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Smythe is grabbing the mushroom in 1-1, going to be grabbing the first fire flower in 1-2, and trying to make the rest of the game very solidly.
I heard you can only gain and lose time in 21 frame increments. Could you maybe explain why that is?
So, there's a certain analogy. I hear chants of bust behind. For those who've watched Summoning Salt, for those who've seen top runners of the past like Darbian or Cosmic, there is an analogy used to explain this concept of frame rules where you imagine a bus. Would you like me to do the bus? You to do the bus?
I'll try my best, but from what I understand it, imagine you have a bus that arrives every 21 minutes. Minutes is in frames. And if you come just as the bus is leaving, you have to wait an extra 21 or 20 frames. It must be 20, right? But if you get there just as the bus is leaving, you can get on that bus, saving you a lot of frames. So basically it means if you miss the bus, you lose a lot of time. You might explain it better than I did.
So with that, Smythe just went for a trick with the flagpole glitch, which is a very top-level trick that saves a third of a second, or 1 frame rule, 1 bus. Sadly didn't get it, but we respect the attempt. So with what you were saying about the frame rule system, what this bus analogy means is that you can only gain or lose time in increments of about a third of a second in this game, meaning you don't need to play perfectly fast, you just need to play well enough. So Smythe just got a trick with the wrong warp here. Ordinarily, in order to get to World 8, you'd have to climb a vine, but there's a very slow animation that comes from climbing the vine growing up in the warp zone and then climbing again. Instead, Smythe scrolled the screen forward by doing a little crouch under some blocks and entered a pipe that would usually take him to a coin cache, but here has taken him to the 4-2 warp zone and then to World 8. So 8-1, the longest level in the entire game, usually this would be a brutally difficult level for most runners because you've got to run straight forward. There is no room to spare to catch the fastest bus normally. You just have to run right. But as fire, this level is substantially easy because you can shoot fire at any enemy, any plant, any creeper, like you see here. So Smythe gets a 200 on the timer, the best you can get.
I think I got good judges as well, I believe.
Good judges as well. There's a concept in 8-1 called judges, where we used to not know how some runners would randomly gain or lose time in 8-1. Just sometimes they would lose a third of a second. No one knew why. So it was like these judges were looking down from above, ranking your play and saying, you've done well, I'm going to give you some time. Nowadays, we know a bit more about how it works, and it depends actually on what frame you enter the level on. 1 in 4 frames are bad and will cause you to lose a third of a second. But Smythe hit a specific star block on the level that can manipulate this. So if you do it right, you can always get good judges the maximum amount of time.
Amazing. Also, I technically have speedrun this on my Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. And I cannot beat 8-4. So to give some perspective on how good Smythe is.
This game, I think I was much the same. I tried playing this for the first time a few years back, and it took maybe about a week to beat it in one go. So 8-3 is another level where, as Small Mario, that's very, very difficult because you've got the Hammer Bros that you can't easily predict. But as Big Mario, you just charge through it, shoot fire. Now 8-4, the final level in the game is a maze level. There are a bunch of different pipes. Some pipes send you back to the beginning of the level, some send you forward. So Smythe knows exactly which pipes to take and is trying to get to the end as quickly as possible. He's going for a
Nice.
There we go.
That's
Nicely
one frame
done.
trick, right?
Yeah, well, specifically, he actually went for a slightly safer setup, which makes it a 2-frame window, but a 2-frame window at 60 frames per second, a 30th of a second window to get the correct input is still crazy difficult.
And it's also pixel perfect, kind of, right?
Yeah, to get the wall jump, you've got to land in the gap between 2 blocks, and he'll stand on it for, in this case, 2. Now, because Smythe is fire, he could afford to take damage by Bowser there.
And that
Game
is
one
Mario
done.
1.
That was amazing. 5
Thank
minutes.
you.
And without any Coke and pizza as well.
The main deal of getting fire there, right at the very end, is you can just jump straight through Bowser, and it doesn't matter if you get hit, because if you do get hit, you've got a life.
Yep,
Now,
absolutely.
here we're in Super Mario Bros. 2 Japan. There's a rumor that this game was never released in the West, owing to being too hard. We're not so certain how true that actually is. If you ask top runner of this game, Cosmic, he has a lot of thoughts on that. And we've had lots of discussions before, him and I, about why this game was not actually released.
Because it's bad.
Well, this game was released initially for the Famicom Disk System, which if you think like the Sega CD drive, kind of the same thing. An accessory for a console which already wasn't sold in the West, and the accessory itself wasn't selling well. Why would they sell it in the West? So instead, as you'll later see, we got a port of a game called Doki Doki Panic with Mario skins put on top of it.
Isn't that the game with the 4 girls that like devolves the visual novel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
Exactly.
And at the very end, it's like, maybe it was just
I know,
It's the
right?
first game to do that. So this port, or not port, this edit of the original game can kind of be thought as the original Kaizo. Kaizo being an edit or a ROM hack of a Mario game to have exceptionally difficult levels. These levels are perfectly tough. They're designed to be annoying. They have warps that send you back earlier on in the game. They have blocks that appear out of nowhere that when you hit them, you fall in pits.
Yeah, they have death paths in this game and poison mushrooms.
Yeah, they have mushrooms that when you eat them, you die.
It's really Mario Maker, yeah.
This is every 10-year-old's dream, playing Mario Maker.
That's certainly how this game feels, completely. This is probably the one that I'm the worst at, to be honest, so I wouldn't be expecting much.
I think, Smythe, you said beforehand, you're also going to try and play this a little safer, like you did with Mario 1?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing this like much safer, even more safer than Mario 1, really. However, I won't be getting fire just because I don't really have much experience really using it much, but I will be getting a mushroom in this level just because Bowser in 4-4 is like he's very difficult to predict, and I just don't want to die at the very end of 4-4. So this mushroom that I just picked up is pretty much, I pretty much only got it just because of Bowser in 4-4. But also in 4-3, as you'll see in a minute, there's random bullet bills that fire throughout the level, and there's one part where you can just like, you're pretty much guaranteed getting hit if you get bad luck, so it's kind of I kind of got this mushroom for both those levels. But I'd say like World 4 is probably like the part of this game that I find the most difficult, because 4-4 and 4-3 are just really hard to do just super confidently and quickly.
I think there's a view when you look at games like this that you're just holding right and timing jumps. There's not much movement. Compare it to 3D games, compare it to Mario 64, Mario Odyssey, which
Absolutely.
is all intricate movement. And you look at this and go, there can't be that much going on. But when you get to levels like 4-4, there is still movement going on. You've got to climb up. There's a section that people say, it's the climb. Shout outs to Takate.
Oh, I almost got hit by that bullet bill there. That was the bad RNG I was talking about. That's never happened to me before, but yeah.
I wonder, I've never seen that either. I wonder if it's because you hit the earlier bullet bill in the level? Possibly?
Maybe, yeah, I did actually. I bet if I didn't hit that, that wouldn't have spawned.
Something that makes enemies in both of these Mario games kind of annoying is that if you hit any enemy in the level, generally it changes what the ones later on do.
Yeah.
So if you want to predict what's coming, you have to try and avoid enemies as much as possible. That's the climb right there, where you've got to get on top of the block with the firebar spinning around it really quickly. You've also got to do some very tight, small jumps to get through these enemies. And of course, getting through the Potable, and then Bowser, which can jump back.
Thankfully it went okay. That is like really luck-based, that entire last bit. Obviously not if you know what frame rule you're on, but because I have no idea. I'm very glad to have gone through that. So it's gonna load right now. It's actually gonna load the next 4 worlds. Well, 3 worlds, sorry. Because the Famicom Disk System just, I'm not sure the intricacies of it. Maybe you'll know more. But it has to like load the second half of the game, which the NES didn't have to do.
That sounds right. I also don't know the exact specifics of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I believe it's equivalent to like flipping the disc, because
Yeah.
the Famicom Disk System is essentially floppy disk. There's actually an interesting, I don't want to say controversy, but something that arose from those load times about a year ago. We found potentially the entire history and world record progression of this game may be wrong. And I'm not really sure what came of it, but I feel like we've all been collectively ignoring it just for our own sanity. Essentially, we realized there's 10 frames of black screen in that load time, which we'd been eliminating from the times. So all of our runs on the leaderboard are 10 frames faster than they possibly should be.
I
What
didn't know that.
means, I didn't either until someone pointed out on the forums. But what it means is, say for example, the first person ever to beat the game in under 8 minutes, which I think was a 7:59.87, if memory serves. That is 10 frames faster than it possibly should be. So under, quote, in quotes, correct timing, it would actually be above 8 minutes. But I think we saw that when that's going to cause so many headaches. We'll just pretend it never happened.
This is the upside down pipe.
we
This
go.
is a trick called the devil's spell, where you clip into a pipe. You can enter pipes upside down in this game for reasons I don't actually know.
I know what I think. It's because the tiles used to make the top of the pipes and the normal facing pipe are just reused for the bottom facing. Like the reflection is still in the same place. So if there was some way to enter from the top, you'd be able to enter it just like any other pipe. I'm not sure why you can enter that pipe specifically, but I think it's because they reused a warpable tile instead of just like the normal decoration tile, maybe something like that.
It must be that, because I guess you're just standing on top of it.
Yes, yeah.
What's interesting is that in the All-Stars versions, they patched it, so you can only enter pipes from the correct. But that trick that you saw Smythe do while going in that pipe entering it is another wrong warp like you saw in the original game. Normally, again, you'd have to climb a vine to get to that warp zone, but that's really slow because of all the cutscenes. So he just clips in the pipe instead, like a madman.
To be honest, it took me so many tries, it was probably quicker to just go and use the vine.
How much time does that pipe clip save? It's about 7 or 8 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm not entirely sure of the specifics of it. Oh.
So there, in 8.2, we've got to climb this vine to get up to the top of the level.
Usually you're able to just jump right up, but I didn't want to risk falling in the pit, so...
You've got to do kind of an awkward double bop on that Koopa there, where you've got to land on it, bounce off it to hit the block, and then bounce again to get on the block. It's very finicky, and
Yeah.
your movement leading up to it highly affects what type of movement you end up actually getting. 8-3 is similar to 8-3 in the original game, where there's hammer bros, as you'll see, but luckily they tend not to be quite so bad in this game.
Yeah.
In the original, they can just jump at you, and if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're a bit scared, it's very easy to get hit. Here you can generally jump over them, like you see. Now, in typical Mario 2 Japan fashion, it kind of looked like he was walking on air there. You saw?
Yeah.
This is a typical instance of the devs trying to make the game annoying, trying to trick you. There are blocks that blend in perfectly with the castle in the background, and you just got to find them. Otherwise, you'll be stuck like, what do I do?
Yeah,
Like in the first game, 8-4 is a maze level.
As those
Except
bloopers.
and there's bloopers and fire bars underwater. I'm really hoping this is water that they're in. Otherwise, how is
Tar, black tar.
It's black tar.
I think I know a bit of trivia from the first game. Bloopers, if you could hit them, if they weren't underwater, you get 5,000 points. And eventually that behavior was actually seen in this game. Apparently.
Is there an instance in the original game?
No,
believe
bloopers
there
never
is.
are overground, so you
They're
never
never
see it.
overground.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up a mushroom here because I want to kind of show off this thing that you can do in this next section, where it's like the easiest clip ever. You just walk off, you just clip right into the ground. I think the reason why that works, I'm not entirely sure, but there's invisible blocks that I think just mess with your physics a bit. So yeah, we actually just got right through. So I'm not sure what the time of that was. I did die once, so it was probably about 9 something, I'd say. But now we move on to possibly the weirdest Mario game. It's very strange, like very unlike any other one, especially on the NES. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, this one. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's like, I don't really know what I think about this game, but yeah, it's very interesting because you can play as 4 different characters and they all have different properties. So we're playing as Luigi here, who basically can like float, not like float, but like glide in the air. He has like a very high jump. And he's really useful, especially for some of the later levels. You'll see him used quite a lot. One character you never see in this game is Mario. No one ever plays as Mario in the speedrun, because he's just kind of, he has like a bigger jump, I think, but I think that's about it. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, sorry, I missed the egg there. So these eggs are on a 4.2 second cycle, I believe, something like that. So if you miss one, you pretty much just lose 4 seconds. So it's pretty, it's kind of like how frame rolls work in the first game and the second game, but except it's like on 4 seconds. So like if you miss an egg, it's like at top level, it's like it runs over. At my level, it's probably okay. But what we did there was we picked up an enemy and went on a carpet. I think the reason why that works is because 2 carpets on the same screen. I think it like, usually it doesn't let you get the movement speed from picking up an enemy. But because there was 2 on the screen, it lets you get the movement speed, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. I was saying before this run began that I actually learned this game pretty much for this event, so I'm not entirely sure on how everything works. I just watched tutorials and played through quite a bit, so. But here we're gonna do the first warp, which is to World 4, and there's 7 worlds in this game, so it's not like the other games where there's 8 worlds, there's only 7. And each world has 3 levels, except for the last world, which only has 2, which I'm not really sure why. But yeah, so we'll just be going through doing the warps, and in World 4, you warp to World 6 in 4-2. And from World 6, you just play through the rest of the game with no more warps. So on the All-Stars version, there's actually, you can save and quit and pick from a different world. So you actually I'm not entirely sure what world you go to. I think it's world 3, and then you walk to world 7, and it works out to be slightly faster. So I'm going to pick Peach here. Peach basically can float when you hold A, which is really useful. It actually makes this game a lot easier in some cases. I'm not going to be using it much in this level, but in 7-2 I'll be picking Peach again. So the final level of the game. But most runners pick Toad like all the time because Toad has a higher movement speed as well as when holding heavy objects he runs even faster, so he's like perfect for speed running. But yeah, I picked up the potion and I'm gonna walk to world 6 now. So there we go. So I'm gonna pick Peach again because Peach makes this level super easy. Normally you pick Toad, but I'm not confident enough in my abilities to play Toad in this level. So yeah, basically Peach is so good for this level because you can just float from like each jump to the next. It makes it super easy. Normally you're like jumping all the time as Toad and it makes it super hard to maneuver. So here we're going into this, and this is a digging section. So you dig through the sand. Peach actually picks up items slower, so I'm gonna go over here just so I don't die, because she picks up the key really slow, and sometimes those Shy Guys will drop on your head, and that's not good. So we needed that key to get into this door, and then here's the Birdo fight. So I'm going to wait for the Birdo to shoot fireballs, because when you are picking up an item, you just like don't have a hitbox, I guess. So that's a good thing about Peach picking up so slowly. So I'm going to pick Luigi for this level. There's a pretty difficult trick that I'm going to try because it saves so much time. Basically you just jump from bird to bird to skip this whole level pretty much. Normally you just kind of have to wait around for ages. But you just jump from enemy to enemy, and it's pretty precise, but it saves, I think it's like 18 seconds, maybe more than that. But see, we're already at the end of the level, and normally we'd have to wait for ages. And now we're at the Birdo fight. I threw that the wrong way. So, just gonna make sure I don't die. I just had to play it safe because I really didn't want to die there, so... Oh, I fell. Oh my god. Right, there we go. Usually that's really hard to maneuver out of there because you normally stack 2 mushrooms on top of each other, so you have a really easy jump to the end section, because after you pick up the orb, any more time you spend is just wasted time. So I'm going to be trying a jump here called the potion jump. And I missed it, so that's kind of annoying. But normally you can jump over this wall, but now we have to go through the quicksand of shame. And I'm gonna just keep jumping over and over again so I don't sink. But yeah, normally you can skip that with a jump, but if you can miss it and occasionally pick up the potion again, but in that case the potion dropped and I couldn't pick it up again. There we go. So this is a boss called the Triclyde, I believe he's called. And yeah, he's pretty, I don't know, he takes 3 hits like all Mario games do, but we can just damage boost and drop those 2 mushrooms right onto him and it beats him so quickly. So now we're actually into World 7. So 7-1 and 7-2. 7-1 is a really difficult level, but it makes it a lot easier with Luigi. So we jump onto this bird, and then we jump onto these pillars. So those are pretty precise jumps. I kind of want to play it a bit safer. And we take this rocket. These rockets are on frame rolls of 64 frames, I believe it is. So I don't know what frame roll I got there. It definitely wasn't the fastest one. And then we can jump over that pillar and just access that ladder from the other side. Skips a big section there. So now we need to charge up a super jump, so you can just basically hold down for a bit. and you can just basically charge up a big jump. And those, when I'm jumping off the ladder there, it's like an 8-frame window with Luigi. Normally with any other character it's a 3-frame window, because Luigi has a bit of an advantage because he falls down slower. You have more frames to hit that jump. So we're on the last level here, so we're going to pick Peach, as I mentioned earlier. So Peach just kind of makes this whole level just really easy. There's also a sort of like a way to time the last boss, you'll see in a minute, with Peach, that makes this level really easy with Peach. But most of the time you pick Toad here. So I need to hit this ladder jump here. This is like a necessary ladder jump, so it might take me a few tries. There we go. So now we're on top of the level. So you might think we could have just climbed up the chain there, but you actually, if you climb up, it transitions you to another area. So you need to do a rope jump to go on top of the level, and you can just go all the way over to this bit. Admittedly, I've never like played through this level without using that, so I don't know how much that skips, but it's probably quite a lot. So now we have a battle with the door that we've been using their services throughout this run. And yeah, I got a double hit there, so it looked like it only took 2 hits, but it's actually 3 hits. We just barely missed like a vegetable cycle there. So you basically just pick these up, and then the reason why you want to play Peach is if you just hold one like entire float, it lines up really well with when he opens his mouth again, so you can just kind of like hit him over and over again. So this makes this like, oh I missed that, but it makes it a lot easier normally. So I'm not entirely sure how many hits I've done. I think it's like 1 or 2 more I need. Yeah, 1 more. There we go. So that's the end of Mario 2. I'm just going to enter the door and then I'll reset and move on to the last game, to Mario 3. This is going really well so far, to be honest. Oh, so we've gotten into the door there, so now I can reset and move on to the final game, Mario 3. So it's already 3 games down. This is the longest game though, so we'll be here for a while. But Mario 3 is probably my favorite one, like NES game, as in like the actual gameplay. It's really fun to speedrun. We're going to be doing a category called any % no wrong warp. Because there is a warp you can do in, I think it's 7-1, that basically beats this game in 3 minutes using a credits warp. But we will not be doing that today. This is basically how quickly you can beat the game without using that warp. So the main objective now is to get 2 warp whistles just as fast as we can. And there's one in 1-3 and then one in the fortress. I'm not sure why they put 2 warp whistles so early into the game, because it just lets you get to World 8 like pretty much instantly. But here we'll be picking up a mushroom, which we'll need for later. Oh well, not sure what I'll do about that.
So in order to get the second warp whistle in this, which is going to be in the fort,
Yeah.
Smythe is going to need a raccoon leaf in order to fly up to the very top of it. Now,
Yeah.
ordinarily you'd get that mushroom in 1-3, and then collect 1 raccoon leaf right at the very end of the fort, but now I believe Smythe is going to have to get the mushroom right at the beginning of the fort.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing, yeah. So normally I get P-speed and just like speed through this first part, but I'm gonna pick up this mushroom. Just gotta make sure I don't lose this one. And then we hit that and we can, because I can maintain my P-speed, I can instantly just fly up on top of this bit. And then here's the warp whistle. So that's both the warp whistles we need. So we can just use both of them. So if you use one warp whistle here and then another one whilst you're in the warp zone, it takes you straight to that lonely World 8 pipe right there. So these levels here are probably the reason why I didn't run this game for so long, because they're auto-scrollers, so it's not great for speedrunning. but they're kind of like not mindless auto-scrollers. You kind of need to pay attention because you can't really, you can't get into like Small Mario. If you get Small Mario, it's like, I'm not sure what you would even do about that. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to get through these two auto-scrollers. There'll be another one after this, and then another one just before the castle.
There's an interesting dynamic with the auto-scrollers in this game. And I think a lot of Mario 3 in general is trying to play without mistakes. And then there are certain power-ups that you must absolutely get. For example, in the second auto-scroller, you must absolutely get the Fire Flower. Otherwise, you'll lose a great deal of time.
Yeah, it's if I don't get that Fire Flower, it's gonna add a lot of time. I do have a backup if I don't get it, but I really hope I get it, because it's gonna, it kind of snowballs the time loss, because you do a fight at the end of these auto-scrollers, and if you don't have fire, it takes much longer.
And not only that, there's the Boom Boom fight at the end of the auto-scrollers. Then the Bowser fight right at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
There's an iconic boss fight at the end of this where Bowser tries to jump on you, and you want to move around, so he jumps on the bricks in the floor instead of you and then falls to his demise. But if you have fire, you can just stand next to him and pummel him with fire until he dies in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like not getting fire for Bowser loses so much time. I messed up that. So basically that chest only spawns when all of like the sprites are off screen. So you have to wait for that boomerang to go past. So this is where I'll be getting the Fire Flower. It's that one little question block right there.
There's a few ways of getting this Fire Flower. Smythe is doing a strategy which I believe was found by Zakubi, I believe. Other people just run up to the block and crouch jump into it, but from what I understand, the meta now is generally to run up to the block, get flight, and then crouch into it, like Smythe just did.
Yeah, discovering like, when I saw someone do that, I like couldn't believe how like easy it was. It's like so much better than trying to do that jump, because if you miss the jump once, you pretty much can't recover it, so.
Why is that the strat now? Because it doesn't save any time, actually.
So it's simply because trying to do a crouch jump into that little crevice where the fire is incredibly tight. It can be kind of awkward to press down on the controller and then actually crouch. And if you mess it up, you don't really get another shot. Whereas
you don't.
You can do a very, very, very long down press to ensure that you're crouched before you start flying. And you can take all the time you need to maneuver yourself into that little corner. There's just a lot more leniency in terms of time. And if you mess it up, it's generally recoverable.
Yeah.
So coming up here are the infamous hands. The infamous 3 hands, where there is a 1 in 2 chance for each hand that you get pulled under, and you never want to get pulled under.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Well, that's a 12.5% chance that happens, so.
Each of those hands that he walked over has a 50% chance of pulling you into a little, I don't quite know what the word is, but a sub-level.
Yeah.
And each sub-level lasts about 20 seconds. So worst case scenario, you get all 3 hands, 1 minute time loss. So imagine the warpless runs of this game, for example. You play for 45 minutes, the run of your life, and statistically 87% of the time, you're going to get pulled in by one of those hands, and those 20 seconds, virtually out of your control. There's a big talk, and has always been a big talk about, I wonder if there are ways to manipulate the hands, always get the ones that you want. And there is a certain runner, the name slipped my mind, unfortunately. Do you?
No idea.
There's a certain runner who's developed a program that can read what frame you're in and tell you what to do to avoid the hands. I don't know quite the ins and outs of how legal that is in terms of for the leaderboards. But we're living in a time now where I believe either the tools are out there to manipulate hands or they are on the horizon.
I know that the general randomness in this game is done by, I think it's called an n-bit shift register. But basically, every frame, it just shifts along, and whatever bit it has, it like chooses what to do that. Or I think it's about 8 bits, so about a byte or something. Which is why that the card game in this is flawed. There's only 8 combinations, if I remember correctly.
In general, I think with most retro games like this, or really all, the vast majority of things that seem random can be manipulated, especially in Mario. Now, here's Smythe going to try and climb this hill and maintain P-speed. He maintains it most of the way. He lost it a slight bit at the very top, but you have to do very tricky movement to keep it.
Yeah,
so
I
overall,
barely ever get that.
did brilliantly there, maintaining P-speed for most of it. In general, with 8.1 and 8.2, the trick is get P-speed as fast as you can and stay there. Now, here Smythe is doing a strat called Starless Fort. Generally, often people try and get P-speed in these elevator sections where it just was, but you...
I decided not to go for it because I was doing a run last night and I died there, so I'm just don't trust it anymore.
So often what runners do before entering the fort is they equip a star. That way in that first room with all of the little waffles rotating around, you don't take damage if you hit them. But Smythe did, I believe it's a 2-frame jump, either a 2 or a 3-frame crouch jump, which is very risky, but he pulls it off lovely. And therefore save time not having to get the star. Now, left in the run is one auto-scroller, and then the final level, where even the best runners in the world, not to make you nervous, even the best runners in the world have had histories of this. So, as seen in the final level of 2 USA, Smythe went right to the top of the level by doing a ladder jump. Here he does much the same thing, bounces off a bullet, a little cannonball, and goes to the top of the screen.
There's not really any reason to do that, it just looks cool, to be honest. It also, I guess, technically is safer.
I feel like this level is kind of nice as a runner. Like, you're on the pace of your life, you're really nervous, and you just get 1 minute to mindlessly mash buttons. Calm your nerves away.
I don't know, should I go for the clip in 8C, do you think?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, might as well.
There is a clip which, I believe if you fail it, it doesn't actually, correct me if I'm wrong, it loses time, but there's no massive bad outcome. So might as well go for it.
Yeah. This is undoubtedly PB pace for Quadrilogy though. I've never got a run with 0 hands, so there's definitely PB pace for this category. I don't think it will beat my actual Mario 3 PB.
So, Smythe's going to try and do a crouch jump into this wall here, and gets it first try. Wow. That clip, I don't quite know the ins and outs of it, but I believe there's a slight element of luck in it with how subpixels line up. He's going to go for the same thing here with a 1-up clip.
Yeah, that one's a bit easier.
Gets its second try, which again, many people have had paces of their life fail to either of those clips. What you're seeing here is very, very tight movement, coming incredibly quickly at you, trying to navigate through these sections. And finally, the Bowser fight. Owing to the nature of Bowser's hitbox, you can kind of stand next to him and not get hit. You just pummel him with fire, and then he dies very quickly.
That is definitely a PB for Quadrilogy.
Oh, that's amazing.
Congrats. That was a really clean run overall.
Thank you.
Other than the death in the very beginning of the lost levels, that was no major hiccups anywhere.
The time's about to stop right now. Time. Thank you.
A very, very impressive run from Smythe there.
14 minutes underestimate. That's crazy.
My PB yesterday, I got it last night. It was 37:17, so 27-second PB without loads. So this could be even better if I, took away the loads. But yeah, that's all 4 games. 36:50. I'm not sure what that Mario 3 time was, but it was probably like a low 11, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, it was not bad whatsoever. So yeah, this has been like super fun. Thank you all for having me here. I really didn't expect it to go this well, because I have a 50-minute estimate, so I did not expect it to go this well, but I'm really, really glad with this. So yeah, thank you so much. That's the run. I'll be back at 6:35, I believe, playing another game, but it's nothing like this one, so I'll just get to that when it comes to it. But yeah, thank you.